Romania actually is one of our most important markets. It's actually one of the largest markets we have in Europe. And looking at how fast we're growing here, then we see there's a lot of potential. So that's why we're also setting up a big office here. We have a lot of room to grow in Bucharest as well. We're investing a lot in terms of people and different best offers for drivers to grow here. But we're looking to grow to all the cities where there's any kind of taxis and need for convenient transportation. People care about a few things when they're ordering a ride. One of those is definitely the price, but it's also the arrival time and the quality of the car and so on. And what we did initially was that we just wanted to start off with having the best prices. And then as we grow over the time, we're now more and more focused on having the best arrival times and the best quality. I think there's a lot of taxi drivers who actually really like that you can order a car from an app, and it makes a lot of sense. And many taxi drivers are looking to join our platform as well. But there's definitely some drivers who don't want to get more competition, who like to get hails from the street, and they're not typically very much focused on the customer. They are more focused how do they make short-term money on one ride. So definitely there's some conflict between those drivers and then the new and more transparent service. The biggest ones for us are currently France and Poland and Ukraine. But in terms of growth, actually Romania is one of the fastest growing ones we have in the continent. Our goal is to be the best way for people to move around in cities. So we're already the leading transportation app in a lot of the countries we're in, and we're actually adding more and more countries there. So already in Romania we expect as well that in a year we will be the leading player, having the most cars, the best arrival times, the best quality, best prices. We actually started off with taxis, and then we added private drivers over time in some cities where we saw that it makes sense. But we actually do have a lot of cities still where we only operate with taxis. And we have a lot of cities where we operate with both. So definitely, for us, the goal is how do we build the best way for people to move? And that means that we can include taxis there as well, if those taxis are actually caring about the customers, so they have good quality, they have good prices. In that sense, we don't have anything against taxis, and we're looking to work together with them. More comes down to what the drivers actually want. So when we look at Romania, majority of the drivers are driving with Taxify part-time. So they don't do it as a full-time job. Most of them work maybe 10, 15, 20 hours a week, meaning that they have another job and then they're using Taxify to make extra income. So those drivers would not want to be employed and then forced that, okay, you have to drive in these schedules and exactly earn this amount of money, but they actually want the flexibility. So from our point of view, it doesn't make sense to somehow force this on drivers, but rather actually leave it open so they can decide how much they want to work. Overall, it's clear that ride-hailing and allowing people to basically offer rides with their car is the future. It makes sense. It makes the service more convenient, more affordable, more available, and many countries are already realizing that. So there's a number of countries in Europe which have already adopted laws regulating ride-sharing and actually allowing it, and it is really great, people allow it. So now the question is how fast other countries are following that. And specifically in Romania as well, we're bringing those examples and showing how well it could work and how this actually makes transport more accessible. There's still a lot of people who just call and take taxis from the street. So I think that's one of the big things as well, like how to convince people to actually get transportation from an app and not call how they've been doing it for the last tens of years. So that's a big area we're investing in, how to make the app really easy to use and well known so people would shift over. But other than that, it's really investing in the service, like making the arrival times better, pricing better, convenience better, and in many ways that means investing in the technology. That's actually one of the things why we have a mapping team specifically in Bucharest as well, just to work on how do we estimate the arrival times and work on the navigation and so on. The whole product team is about 100 people, planning to grow that to more than 200 over the next year. And yeah, actually, I mean, we're like one of the big things we're hiring in Bucharest as well is just engineers and designers. One thing is just taking the car hailing service to more cities. That's one of the big things for the next 2 years. There's still hundreds of cities we need to cover. But then, of course, the other thing is getting into more and more vehicles and offering different services. So the first one we started last week in Paris was scooter sharing. And it's going even a lot better than we expected, growing even faster than the car hailing service before. So we're looking to bring that, for example, to more European cities in the next year. The focus for us is moving people. That's where the biggest volume and the biggest problem is. But over time, we're considering to do other things as well. I mean, definitely it's clear that people want the convenience, that you can order anything you want online in like 30 minutes, whether it's food or a package, or you can send something. It's definitely something that makes sense and it's going to grow. It's more the question, where are we focusing? So for now, we're focused on moving people, and we see that's where the biggest problem is. But of course, once we are really great at that, then we can move everything else as well. If you already have cars move people, it's quite easy to move packages. Our service is mainly growing due to word of mouth. We see that because oftentimes older generations are hearing about us from people who are really tech savvy and who really well know how to use smartphones, then they're just typically, during this sign-up process, they're also showing them how the app works and essentially onboarding them. So it's not something that we're too concerned about. The app is easy to use and everybody gets it.